Hi, Dr. Ziggy here, and once again behind the camera we have Matt, my brand manager.
Hey.
Beautiful. All right, Matt, we're back. We're back with Sam Altman and his BS episode 2.
I love Sam Altman.
Oh man, Sam Altman is the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to BS. This guy is just sensational with this stuff. So 5 months ago we created a video talking about all the BS that he utters, and in between that there was, funnily enough, 2 non-profit tech watchdog organizations, Midas Project and the Tech Oversight Project. These tech watchdogs focus on corporate accountability. So they banded together and they decided to create an archive called the OpenAI Files, and they've just aggregated vast swathes of publicly available documents, employee testimonies, media reports to critique OpenAI's trajectory. Because they just want to unmask OpenAI and just say, look guys, you're just not aligning with your founding objectives. That's happened in the interim of our first video. I like to think it's because of our first video. Not true, but hey, let me dream. All right, I've got 5 points. Last video was quite long. It was 9 points, so I'm going to shorten this one. All right, Matt, you've heard that GPT-5 is out.
I did.
Okay, so GPT-5 was launched about 3 weeks ago, and Sam's been talking about GPT-5 for a while. He's Mr. Hype Machine. I don't think there's anyone out there that will deny that. Whether you love him or hate him or whatever, he's Mr. Hype. So in February 2025, he said this: I don't think I'm going to be smarter than GPT-5. And then, in the meantime, he has a blog, and we've talked about this before. These last posts said that digital super intelligence is just around the corner. He went on to a podcast with Theo Von called This Past Weekend, and once again, the usual hype behind GPT-5. He said he felt useless relative to GPT-5. He said he got a sense of awe and disorientation. I'm paraphrasing here. Got a sense of awe and disorientation because he just felt as though it was that good that GPT-5 answered a question that he believed he should have been able to answer. But he continued on, and he likened his current work on AI to the Manhattan Project in the 1940s, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So he's sitting there during this podcast, and he says this: there are these moments in the history of science where you have a group of scientists look at their creation and just say, what have we done? The most iconic example is these scientists working on the Manhattan Project in 1945. And I do think people working on AI have that feeling in a very deep way. Yes, AI has progressed incredibly. Yes, I have had moments where I've sat down and went, wow, this is incredible. But equating AI, we've had this phase for a few years now, equating it with Manhattan Project. Man, that's a big call, right? The problem is that he talks like this all the time. So then the day before the launch, he posted an image on Twitter, and it was just an image. And this is the image that he posted.
Wow. That's the Death Star.
That's the Death Star, right? So everyone knows that GPT-5 is about to get launched, and then he posts that. So obviously he's implying that GPT-5 will be monumental. Obviously, I guess he's forgotten the fact that the Death Star was destroyed, right? It blew up. Anyway, so expectations were high, and this is the key when it comes to GPT-5. I'm not saying that GPT-5 is bad. I'm saying it is an improvement on everything, but the expectations were high. So the announcement event happens and Sam Altman comes on stage and he says lots of things before other people come on stage and do demonstrations of the capabilities of GPT-5. But let's focus initially on what Sam Altman said at the beginning of the event. All right, Matt. Sam Altman. GPT-3 was sort of like talking to a high school student. With GPT-4, maybe it was like talking to a college student. With GPT-5, now it's like talking to an expert, a legitimate PhD level expert in anything, any area you need, on demand, that can help you with whatever your goals are. And then later, this is an incredible superpower on demand. You get access to an entire team of PhD level experts in your pocket. Now, I don't know about you, I've been using ChatGPT on a daily basis at work and for my private endeavors, and it's not PhD level in anything, any area that you need. I get infuriated with it still, infuriated with it. It does the dumbest things in the world, it makes the dumbest mistakes, and then I spend 15 minutes prompt engineering it, trying to redo my prompts, saying, no, this is not what I want, until I get what I want. Now, yes, it saves me hours, but don't tell me that it is a PhD level expert in anything, any area you need, on demand, that can help you with whatever your goals are. Don't tell me that, because I'm going to call you out. I'm going to say, that's BS, but I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. It gets better. So Sam Altman exits the stage. Another presenter comes on and says, just as Sam said, it's like having a team of PhDs in your pocket. So let's see that in action. And she says, let's pretend that you are a parent who wants to help your kid with a high school assignment. And she prompts ChatGPT and says, can you explain the Bernoulli effect and why planes are shaped the way that they are? And it hallucinated the answer.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it hallucinated the answer. Right? So much for PhD level expertise, right? So much for that. Now, they didn't realize this because they're not PhD level experts in, I don't know, physics or whatever you need. But people watching the live event who were experts in this field was like, no, that's not quite accurate. And then later, of course, it blew up, right? It hallucinated an answer just after she said it's like having a team of PhDs in your pocket. Like, seriously, you can't make this stuff up. But those weren't the only errors in the presentation. So I'm going to show you a graph of benchmarks. So GPT-5 was compared to past OpenAI models according to benchmarks. Now, this is one of the graphs that they showed. Can you see anything wrong with that particular graph? I'm going to help you out just a little bit and highlight this.
Okay, so 30.8 is equal to 69.1, which is both less than 52.8.
Yeah, man. So they showed this. This is a company that's been valued at over $300 billion. This is a live event. And they make mistake like this. This is not the only mistake. Now, let's go on to another.
Did they just get ChatGPT to invent this?
Bingo,
graph?
right? So people went online and said they vibe graphed it. They vibe graphed it. So much for PhD level expert, right? Terrible. Now, I'm going to show you another graph. Have a look at this graph.
Wow.
Incredible, right? Now, they didn't show this on the main screen. You could see it on the screen in the background, so you have to zoom in a bit, hence why the resolution is so poor.
Wow, and they can just do this and nobody's calling them out on it?
People did, but those in the know, people like you who do not have a tech background or whatever, they're just like, oh yeah, ChatGPT's out. Sam Altman says PhD level at your fingertips. And then you get this.
Me as a layman would never have seen any of those graphs.
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't read any articles about it. I'd just go like, yeah, okay.
So now Sam Altman did come out and say afterwards, look, it was a stressful situation. Everyone was under the pump, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, man, this is the biggest private AI company in the world. And you're telling me that you can't get your organization to triple check a live presentation that's going out about the major product that you are hyping up and selling to the public? No. Yeah, crazy, right? Crazy. All right, but there's more. So then Sam Altman talks about coding, and AI and coding has been a big topic. We've got plenty of videos about that. Once again, I think it's overhyped. But anyway, let's see what Sam says on the topic of coding. GPT-5 can write an entire computer program for you from scratch. And we think that this idea of software on demand is going to be one of the defining characteristics of the GPT-5 era. So firstly, I like how he calls this the GPT-5 era. Like, this guy is a master salesman.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, but then software on demand. Now, we've talked about this before, so you know that in some respects, if it's a small piece of software, yeah. But if you're writing a large piece of software, this idea of software on demand is BS, man. It is complete BS. Now, if you look at the official system card, which is the technical paper that OpenAI released with GPT-5, it's like over 30 pages long and it discusses this stuff in depth. It actually shows that the only improvement in coding is in one benchmark. The rest have no statistically significant improvement. That's the first thing. Now, there's a section in there for coding and machine learning, which involves coding, so it's sort of collated into one section. But there hasn't been much of an improvement. Now, later, new presenters came on and they say this: we believe that GPT-5 is the best coding model on the market today. It outperforms both our previous models and other models on the market. Now, that is not true when it comes to benchmarks. Now, in some of the benchmarks, GPT-5 is the best. In others, it is not. So, for example, SweBench, the first graph that I showed you that had the error on it, Grok 4 is actually better than OpenAI. So,
I did notice that Claude, Grok, these things weren't listed.
Beautiful. So in their entire launch event, they do not compare GPT-5 with any of the competitors.
Of course not.
None. Now, I haven't seen all release events, but the ones that I have seen, that's never happened. The whole thing is that you go up on stage and you say, we are the best. Here are graphs that prove that we are the best. OpenAI showed lots and lots of graphs, and the only comparisons that they made was with their previous models. Now, that's very telling.
Pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, right? The average person won't notice that. They'll see graph, higher graph, GPT-5. Wow, amazing. PhD level expert, must be true. No. So what I'm saying is that GPT-5 is a significant improvement from GPT-4, but expectations were through the roof because of the way that Sam Altman's been talking about AI these last 6 months and hyping up GPT-5 and hyping up AI on his blog. Polymarket, I don't know if you know about Polymarket, but there's this blockchain thing where people can bet on just stupid questions, right? Like, any question you can think of, you can put it up on the blockchain and people bet on a yes or no kind of answer.
Damn, I got to get on this.
Yeah, man. There's some great ones. I've seen some really funny ones. I don't want to mention them because they're just like, I'll tell you on the side. Like, anyway, so they had a question on which company will have the best AI model at the end of August. And this poll charted OpenAI dropping from 75% to 14% in the space of an hour after this launch event. Google replaced OpenAI and jumped to 80%. So this whole thing came in, people, especially with the Death Star image, right? That came on. So people came in thinking this is going to be amazing. And then lots of people saw the mistakes with the graph and the hallucinations.
If I was Google, I'd just put an X-wing in Google colors.
That's funny. That's actually really good. They should have, They should have, Yeah, so GPT-5 is an improvement, but compared to what it was hyped up to be, I think it's fair to say that there has been a lot of people that have been disappointed with the launch event and with GPT-5. I'm going to leave a lot of other stuff to the side, but the most popular subreddit on OpenAI, which has at the moment over 4,000 upvotes, was the following one. After a thorough evaluation of ChatGPT-5, these are my realizations. Claude is pretty awesome. I'm a lot less concerned about the Singularity ASI AGI 2027 or whatever doomy scenario was bouncing around my noggin. GPT-5 is about lowering costs for OpenAI, not pushing the boundaries of the frontier. Sam's Death Star pre-launch hype image was really about the size of his ego and had nothing to do with the capabilities of GPT-5.
That's no moon.
That's right. So Sam Altman tweeted shortly afterwards when this stuff was blowing up a little bit. And he said, GPT-5 is the smartest model we've ever done, but the main thing we pushed for is real-world utility and mass accessibility affordability, which is fine. So now GPT-5 is accessible to free users. So it's the top model that's accessible to free, which is great. And it is more affordable now in terms of token and stuff. That's fine. And I'm happy with that. But don't hype the product up so much where you say that you are scared in inverted commas and everything else that he'd been building up to this event, and then come out and say, in this tweet, he later says, we can release much, much smarter models. And we will. But this is something 1 billion plus people will benefit from. This guy is a master salesman, and everything surrounding this whole GPT-5 pre-launch event, launch event, and post-launch event, I'm calling it, that's BS, man. You are a master salesman with a PhD level in BSing.